Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. We're starting a new campaign, which is going to be on for 10 days. And then I know it's been a while that some of you have seen us. And when we're not live to talk to you, we're actually working for you. As you all know, and you have come to agree that we are the generation that is going to change the course of history. And our generation will get Yoruba nation out of Nigeria. And we have started doing that. So we have a new political campaign, and it's going to be on for 10 days, like I said. But as you know, with our movement, the Young Yoruba for Freedom, we respect the national anthem of the Yoruba nation. We'll continue to sing our national anthem so we can impress it on our descendants and also the current generation of the Yoruba people to embrace their ethnicity, to embrace their Yoruba identity, and to be proud of that. We will reveal a lot of state secrets in the next 10 days. But to start with, and with all due respect to everybody watching us at home or wherever you may be, let us take the national anthem of the Yoruba nation. Thank you. Iṣẹ́ wa fúnlẹ̀ wa, fún ilẹ̀ ìbí wa, kàgbéga, kàgbéga, kàgbéga fáyé rí. Ìgbàgbọ́ wa ni pé bá ti bẹ̀rù làbọ̀ mọ́. Ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká jọlá. Ìṣọ̀kan àti òmìnira ni ẹ jẹ́ ká máa lépa. Tẹ̀síwájú fọ̀pọ̀ ire àtòhun tó dára. Ọmọ Oòduà dìde, bọ́ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. Sorry, I'm going to have to watch what is going on so that I'll be very sure that we are perfectly in order. For the next 10 days, guys, we will be discussing the state secrets. This is our own view as regard what the wife of late Chief MKO Abiola has said in our latest exclusive interview, which will sharpen your insight to certain issues that she has raised that are fundamental to the development of our homeland, the Yoruba nation. And they are very important, in which she exposed the atrocity of the English establishment that we have always warned you about. And on day 2, we'll talk about all power to the English colonial talks. We'll be talking about the 10 constitutions of Nigeria from 1914 to 1999. And we'll explain to you the 5 of these 10 constitutions written and enacted into law by the English colonial government, and the other 5, they were promulgated into law in Nigeria by minority Fulani. In all of the 5 that the people of Nigeria enacted into law, only 1 was approved by the Yoruba nation. The rest were not at all, were not approved by the Yoruba nation. So we will sharpen your insight into these 10 constitutions. On day 3, we will talk about take back control. The topic of our campaign is 2023 election, Tinubu or Oduduwa Republic. So by the time you see some of these issues that we are going to be raising, which are fundamentals, it will jog back your memory to why we need to take the presidency of Nigeria. So when we talk about take back control, I will be enlightening you furthermore on what happened in the Kaba province and Ilorin province between 1951 and 1957, in which the people of Ilorin and Kaba, which are today Kwara State and Kogi State, actually voted to be part of the Western region in what they call reunification with the Western region, and what Ahmadu Bello said and how the English colonial government responded to that. That's what we're going to be looking at on day 3. And on day 4, we'll be looking at the 4 imperatives. And this is 2021. In August 1966, just a month after the military coup of the Fulani against the Igbo. You know, the Igbo first had their home military coup in January 1966. Then there was a revenge coup in July 1966. In August 1966, there were some 4 imperatives that the Yoruba leaders raised to be part of Nigeria. We will be looking at that. And none of this has been met since August 1966. So you will agree with me, the need for us to take the presidency of Nigeria as we expose you to the 4 imperatives. On day 5, we'll talk about the 4-party merger, the most ridiculous merger on the planet that ever occurred, happened in 2013, in which the super majority party, the ACN, stooped so low for the minority party, the CPC, to produce the presidential ticket of the merged party. So we will expose that to you again so that you can see how for so long the generation before us has continued to undermine the prospect of the Yoruba nation through stupid decisions, which is today affecting our generation. That's why we describe our generation, the cheated generation, before we change to Young Yoruba for Freedom. And we were born into degradation. Everything good has been taken away from us. So we are going to expose you to the 4-party merger, the most ridiculous merger on the planet Earth. And then on day 6, we will be talking about the fraternity of the half Yoruba, the Igbo, and the Fulani. This, I'm referring to the Yoruba World Congress. I'm referring to Ilana Omo Oduduwa Limited, and I'll give you details that you have never seen before. Complete details about these people, their intention, who they are working with, and you will get some of these details today. That's something we're bringing out for you, the information which we obtained from Canadian government that will jot your memory about what Professor Banji Akintoye and the likes of Mr. Sunday Igboho are trying to achieve. On day 7, there will be a chicken for the Igbo. That's when we will give you a snippet of the people behind the NSAS, which is even the government of Yoruba and the APC, their ignorance of this reality. NSAS was planned by MI6. It is the secret intelligence of the English. They plan it essentially to assassinate Tinubu. Because of what we are going to be releasing to the general public, the information, I have given an advanced copy of my speeches to my team so that in case I'm arrested before the end of my campaign, so they can release it to the public. But we will give this information to the public. We will enlighten and sharpen your insight into what we stated in April 2020. You have completely forgotten when the English government, I don't use the word UK government, I specifically, and it is deliberate to say English government, English establishment, because of the respect we have for the good people of Scotland, for the good people of Wales, and the Irish people. We don't have respect for English because they are the people that are undermining the greatness of the Yoruba nation. And there's no need for you to pretend about that. So we will speak on the chicken for the Igbo, a chicken for the Igbo, in which we will expose what we stated in April 2020 when we found out that there is a provision for asylum for IPOP members and MASOB members. These organizations have been designated as a terrorist organization, even proscribed by the government of Nigeria. And when you see the English government making provision for asylum for them, you should know that they are trying to use them. It is the same thing when you see UK government, US government, the government of France making provision for separative group or terrorist organization. They are likely going to use them in future. They did the same thing with Osama bin Laden, the Al-Qaeda. They were funded by the US government to fight in Afghanistan against Russia. So it is the same thing that the government of Westminster in doing in respect of IPOP member. They were groomed, trained by MI6 in Nigeria, particularly in Abuja and Lagos. Most of their plans were conducted here in London to strike at the heart of the Yoruba nation. The target was Tinubu. So on day 7, we'll be revealing more of that to you. On day 8, there will be a speech on bread, peace, and land. This is how to get to the Oduduwa Republic. Bread, peace, and land. So we'll give you details as you have never seen before in respect of our 3 objectives, which has other phases of our plan of action. And some people might say, oh, you don't have to reveal your secret. No, that is nonsense, abstract nonsense. We rely on young Yoruba. The moment you heard information from them, they will be deceived, they will be confused, and they won't know what to do at every single time. So it is better we dish out the information to them in public because they are the people we rely on to bring about change for the greater glory of our home nation. And this is the same principle the Fulani are using. They keep telling their children that they are born to rule, that they must rule over the Yoruba, they must control all the wealth of the Yoruba. They impress this on their children. The same thing the Igbo are doing, saying that they are the entrepreneur of Nigeria, they do all manners of things, yet these people are only making mouth. They contributed nothing. So if we continue to hide things from our children, how do you expect them to defend our civilization? So on day 8, we are going to talk about bread, peace, and land. On day 9, we'll talk about not enemies, just friends. We'll talk about the allies of the Yoruba people within Nigeria. And on day 10, we'll talk about tribalism and nepotism, which we have interpreted to mean identity politics and self-preservation, which is practiced in America. If you look at the US government, the political appointees are predominantly white. Do you call that racism? Do you call that nepotism? If you look at the government in Britain, most of the political appointees are English, not Scottish, not Welsh, not Irish. Do you call that tribalism? Do you call that nepotism? People who are dropping these appellations are Igbo and mostly have Yoruba. They responded to what Buhari is doing, appointing Fulani. There's nothing that is bad about that. Igbo have always wanted equality, which we are against. If we get the presidency of Nigeria, which I'm going to shock you with some of the information I'm going to get you. If we get the presidency of Nigeria in 2023, we will put only and mainly Yoruba citizens in government positions. It is not tribalism, it is not nepotism. It happens in the United States of America. It is the same thing in Britain. People who are the majority and the economic backbone, they govern, they rule others who contributed nothing. So these are what we're going to be talking in the next 10 days. But I have different approach to what I intended to say here today. But we are getting some latest information which I will have to reveal to you as this speech goes on. But the first thing I would like to say, and I want to say it with all the seriousness, our most basic human right is the right to life. That is the basic human right, the right to life. It is very unfortunate that the military in Nigeria, which is actually Fulani military, which actually is solely and essentially serving the interests of the irresponsible English establishment, the Westminster government in England, that military has no respect for human life. It has no respect for the right of life. We as a nation, as a country rather, our military has never gone to war with any country. The essence of the establishment of the useless Nigerian military that is actually Fulani military and serving the interests of the irresponsible English establishment is to protect Nigeria from external aggression. But what have you seen? Since the creation of this useless military, it has always been to kill the indigenous people of Nigeria. This has to stop. The Nigerian military has no respect for human life. They kill essentially only the citizens of Nigeria. They were established to fight against external aggression. The Boko Haram are citizens of Nigeria. They are not involved in terrorism. They are involved in armed insurgency. This is an uprising against the federal government of Nigeria because the federal government of Nigeria is in total control of the wealth and resources of the Kanuri people. We must clearly define terrorism and insurgency. And if you see, you will see that terrorism is the unlawful use of violence to intimidate against civilians in pursuit of political aims. Now, if you look at armed insurgency, which is quite different, it is an uprising against the government of the state. One thing that is common with terrorism that people don't want to explain or deliberately leave out is that terrorism can only happen where foreigners leave their own respective countries, move to other people's country, and start killing the indigenous people there. That is pure terrorism. The greatest country on earth that's a terrorist nation is England. They have colonized more than half of the world population. They will leave England, move down to other people's homeland, and be enslaving people, forming government, killing people in order to dominate them. That is what terrorism is all about. We must be able to situate this situation properly. What Boko Haram is doing is not terrorism, it's armed insurgency, is an uprising against the federal government of Nigeria because the federal government of Nigeria is in total control of the wealth and resources of the Kanuri people in what we call northeast of Nigeria. So when you see the Nigerian military always intervening to kill, you know that they are working for English. It is a weapon to suppress and subjugate, not to protect Nigeria from external aggression. The Nigerian military cannot go to the small country called Benin Republic to fight them because they don't know the weapon these people have. But they have always killed people inside Nigeria. Look at what happened with HIPOP, the Eastern Security Network. The military in Nigeria went there to kill them. They have never protected Nigeria against external aggression. They have always been killing people inside Nigeria. What kind of military is that? Is the military in America killing American people? Even the irresponsible English establishment that is using the military in Nigeria to kill people inside Nigeria, is their own military in England killing people in England? No. Why is it that the Nigerian military is always killing people inside Nigeria? It is because you have centralized military. Centralized military. All the power of monopoly of violence is concentrated in the hands of the federal government. If we devolve this power to the regional government, as agreed to in our constitution, there will not be Nigerian military killing people. That is the more reason why the Fulani do not wish to give up power, which I'm going to explain and enlighten you to. So we're saying to the military in Nigeria, you have no respect for life, and they are very weak. The population of the military in Nigeria is less than 300,000. Is that not shocking? Can they kill 1 million Igbo people or 1 million Kanuri people, 300,000 force? They cannot. If 1 million Igbo people have access to gun, let's say AK-47 versus the Nigerian military, they will defeat the Nigerian military. The Nigerian military is working for the English. This is what you have to get into your head. It is the only military on planet Earth that is always killing its own people. They have never gone to war to kill people in Cameroon, to kill people in Niger Republic, to kill people in Niger Republic, to kill people in Benin Republic. These are our neighbors. You expect us to go to war with our neighbor. After all, the Germans went to war with the French. They were neighbors. The English went to war with the French. They were neighbors. There were times that the Northern Irish or the Irish generally went to war with the English. They were neighbors. You will never hear of English military. I don't call them British military. You will never hear of English military killing people inside England. But the Nigerian military has always been killing people inside Nigeria. And this is the problem. If we do not decentralize the monopoly of violence, which is gun, Nigeria will continue to experience ethnically motivated killing. So this has to stop. When I see people circulating the video of that Igbo man that was killed, you guys don't understand how things work. How can you have a military that is killing your own people every now and then? They've been doing this since the military of Nigeria was created. They've never killed outsiders. They have always been killing people inside Nigeria. Why is it that we can't fight Benin Republic? It's because Benin Republic have their own separate military. So how do we stop the Nigerian military from killing people inside Nigeria? You allow the indigenous nations within Nigeria to have their own military, which we call the Yoruba National Guard, the Igbo National Guard, Hausa National Guard, Kanuri National Guard, Ijaw National Guard. This National Guard will have their own military, control their own guns. You will never see military inside Nigeria killing Nigeria anymore. Now, for instance, if we have an insurgency in Igbo land, it will be addressed by the Igbo National Guard, who will be military personnel who speaks Igbo, who are Igbo themselves. They will rather negotiate than to be killing their Igbo citizens. So this is completely out of order. It is completely out of order. But regardless of what this irresponsible Nigerian military do, it is working for, it is Fulani military. It is not Nigerian military, and it is working for the English to kill you, black people, because you are foolish. And it is because for several years, Igbo and Fulani have been refusing the decentralization of that military. We had Abacha National Conference. The Yoruba moved for the decentralization of the security. Igbo rejected it. We had Obasanjo National Conference. The Yoruba moved for the decentralization of the security agencies. Igbo rejected it. Hausa Fulani also rejected it. We had Jonathan National Conference. Igbo and Hausa Fulani rejected the decentralization of the military for one reason only. Whoever is the president of Nigeria will use the monopoly of violence under the command and control of the military and police to kill other ethnic groups. So the stupid Igbo nation that have always rejected the decentralization of the police and the military, that is why their children have been killed. But we as a movement, we have to speak nothing but the truth. And I want to say specifically to the Nigerian military, you cannot fight the Yoruba nation. We believe in violence, unlike our stupid parent generation. What you are doing is irresponsible, complete irresponsible, to always be killing people inside Nigeria. Is that why our military is formed? You've never fought a single war with any external aggression, but you kill people inside Nigeria every now and then. That was why you killed Yoruba in 1962 to 1964, because they went onto the street to protest. That was what happened again during the June 12 election from 1993 to 1998. You were killing Yoruba people. That is the fear the Fulani are having, so that they don't want Tinubu to be president. And I'll quickly go to that. That is very important. And most of you have ignored this reality. I received videos of Senator Smart Adeyemi. One, what I'm going to say about that. Senator Smart Adeyemi is a very foolish senator. Aside the fact that he's not stable politically, there was a time he won elections with the PDP as a senator. Now he's representing APC as a senator. So you do not expect such an individual to speak the truth. But when that video became viral, a number of you subscribed to the stupid thing he was saying. He was openly canvassing for the intervention of the US military to come and help to fight the insecurity we're having in Nigeria. The insecurity we're having in Nigeria is not a complex problem. We are having insecurity in Nigeria because what we agreed to before independence is not the political system we are practicing. Smart Adeyemi ought to have first and foremost canvassed for a return to the regional system of government. He should have canvassed for the decentralization of the police, for the decentralization of the military. And if that fails to work, then he can call for the intervention of the United States government. But saying that we should bring in the United States, saying that the problem that we are having in Nigeria is been a big problem. No, we have always had this instability since Nigeria had her independence, even before her independence. Since the Igbo suspended regional government, we've been having one problem or the other in terms of insecurity, and the insecurity we've had in Nigeria has always been ethnically motivated. So many of you who have seen the video, you think he's saying something that is decent, reasonable, and helpful? No, he is not. He's actually a very stupid senator. It's a disgrace on him. People voted for you as a senator. You went to the National Assembly canvassing for a foreign entity to come and help you safeguard lives and property in your country. He should resign. What will save Nigeria is very simple. The Yoruba don't speak the same language as the Igbo. The Igbo have not the same language as the Kanuri people. The Kanuri people have not the same language with the Hausa. Let us respect our diversity. Let us devolve Nigeria. Let us go back to regional system of government. Let us give the power of policing, military, and every other power to the regions and make the center very weak. If we have, for instance, a Kanuri prime minister, he will be prime minister for Kanuri. He will be in charge of policing. He will be in charge of the military. He will control the wealth and resources in Kanuri land. He will be in charge of education. He will be in charge of infrastructure. The federal government will be so weak that they will not be concerned with all of that. So if there is insurgency in Kanuri region, it will be the problem of the Kanuri people. And the Kanuri people will call for the removal of their prime minister. They will be replaced. He will be replaced with another prime minister. They can have 10 prime ministers within 10 years. It doesn't concern anybody. But you cannot be using a centralized political system. Somebody who is going to give education to the Kanuri people is in Abuja. Somebody is going to provide Kanuri people with railway system is in Abuja. Somebody is going to provide them with water is in Abuja. Somebody is going to do their road is in Abuja. Somebody is going to be in charge of their policing is in Abuja. Somebody is going to be in charge of their military is in Abuja. How do you expect that to work? And only the Igbo and Fulani have always been saying that that is the system we must run. No, Smart Adeyemi is a foolish man, a very, very foolish senator for that matter. So I don't really expect much from him. Somebody who jumped from one political party to another with no ideological stand cannot say anything reasonable. We don't need the intervention of foreign government at this point in time. We need devolution of power back to the region. We need to respect the diversity in our nation. All of these Boko Haram who are killing people, they are doing it for political aims. They want total control of their resources in their land. They have crude oil there. They have all manners of natural and mineral resources. Let them have Kanuri regional government. Let them go to their home parliament and speak about the problem they are having. What is going on in Kanuri land should not concern Yoruba nation. It should not be the problem of the Yoruba people. You have not devolved power to the people, and you are asking foreign government to come and intervene. If you look at the political system in America, the states in America, go and look at their real name. They are nations on their own. California, for instance, and likewise all other states. They control their own police, they control their own military, they control their own mineral and natural resources, they control their own tax, they control their own education, they control everything. California is a nation. Why is it so difficult for the federal government to return power back to the people in form of parliamentary system of government along regional government? This is what is constituting nuisance. I tell you today, if, for instance, we go back to regional government, all Igbo-speaking state and local government comes under Igbo region. with an elected Igbo prime minister? You think the Igbo will be drifting down to Yoruba land? No, they will become second class or third class or fourth class citizen in there. Now, whatever problem that happens in Igbo land, everybody will refer them to their own Igbo parliament. But you don't want to do that. All of these Boko Haram, people who are determined to die for a cause of action, you don't joke with them. People who are willing to die, you don't ignore their demands. If you want to stop Boko Haram today, devolve power to the Kanuri people. Let them control their own railway. Let them control their own police. Let them control their own military. All these Boko Haram guys, you put them in the military, the Kanuri National Guard, and the Kanuri Police Service. Put all these Boko Haram there, that they are to protect their own region. They will do it. They will do it. So this is the nonsense Smart Adeyemi said. But you guys don't know why he said that. But you circulated this video because of your ignorance. Why he said that is the possibility of the Fulani, with the backing of the Igbo, supported by the irresponsible English colonial talk, to stop Tinubu from the presidency. You want to doubt this? Then I'll tell you this if you want to doubt this. Yeah, you're right, but I won't talk about that. Now, you want to know why Smart Adeyemi refocus your emotion on calling for the intervention of the US Army? It is to stop Tinubu from becoming president. Now, if Smart Adeyemi is honest and genuine, he will use his position as a senator representing Kogi West. I think he should be voted out in the next election. He should use his position as a senator representing Kogi West to call for a return to regional system of government, devolution of power back. But he didn't call for that. He was calling for America to come, and there's a reason behind that. Now, look at this. Yesterday, Buhari asked the United States to relocate AFRICOM to Nigeria. You know, we, Young Yoruba for Freedom, we've always been calling for the intervention of the United States. We have basically asked for the US government to appoint a special envoy to Yoruba land, who will help to sit in negotiation with the other nation of Nigeria so that peacefully we take Yoruba land out of Nigeria. That has always been the basis. But we have never for once called for US military intervention. No, that's not what we've called for. But when you now see Buhari specifically calling for AFRICOM to come to Nigeria, you should think long and hard about that. What is the rationale behind that? You know, we as a movement, we've always been telling you one thing, that if peradventure will get a return to regional government today, and we elect our prime minister for our region, it's a position, it's a position that is not existing, but this is a position I've always been canvassing that I want to occupy. But you should know that I have a vision that that position will come. Now, we have always been telling you that if we go back to regional government, we have the Yoruba regional government, we will sign what? A military pact with the United States of America to train our police and the Yoruba National Guard. We've always been telling you that. And the only reason for that is to protect our descendants in future. If we are no longer alive, so our children's future will be secure with a military pact with the good people of the United States. That's what we have always been calling for. We've never openly called for US intervention, but Buhari is calling for US intervention. You think this is now the time that you want to solve the Boko Haram? No, it is for a reason, and I will tell you the reason is to stop Tinubu, and we're going to give you this fact. You know that AFRICOM is the United States African Command that is currently stationed in Germany. It is one of the 11 unified combatant commands of the United States Department of Defense, which is in Germany. We're not against that. We're not against that. But for the president of a nation to be calling for another nation to send in foot soldier to come and help him deal with armed insurgency, he should resign. But you know why he's doing that? Because he doesn't want to give power to Tinubu. And I'm going to shock you what we're going to say. So that is the first signal. Sam Adeyemi spoke about US military intervention rather than for him to have called for the decentralization of Nigeria so that we can have localized problem. He refused. Then Buhari called for Africom to be stationed in Nigeria, which is a military command. Then you miss this, guys. You're not watching. Then the English Minister for Africa, James Dougherty, stated, immediately Buhari spoke. This guy, the English Minister for Africa, stated that Nigeria is their #1 partner in Africa. Then thereafter, there was a statement from the US Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. He said, and I quote, Nigeria is one of the most important partners of the United States. You can see the progress. Then this happened. Smart Adeyemi spoke, asking that we should invite the US Army for help to combat terrorism. We're not facing terrorism in Nigeria, we're facing insurgency. If we're facing terrorism in Nigeria, it will be foreigners coming with guns to come and take over our land, control our government, take over our wealth and resources. That is not what Boko Haram is fighting for. That is not what other militants are fighting for. No, that is not. It is the ways of the English to do that. Go to other people's country, kill their leaders, kill their people, took their land. That is not what Boko Haram is fighting. Boko Haram is fighting, is an insurgency, fighting for the total control of their space. Then after all of this happened, Buhari spoke, Sam Adeyemi spoke, the Minister for Africa, English Minister for Africa spoke on the same issue, the US Secretary spoke, then Tinubu visited Buhari. And you guys missed that. When he visited Buhari, he was asked a question regarding the 2023 transition and the chances of the APC returning as a ruling party. Now, I want you to listen to what Tinubu said because you missed it. You missed it because you ignore a lot of reality. This is what Tinubu said. He said, I don't want to predict that one right now, that he doesn't want to predict the outcome of the 2023 election. I don't want to do that subject now, he says. The chances are as bright as a morning star for his party, APC. He continues. He said, we will continue to work for a better Nigeria, and that is what you need. He was telling the press guy who asked him the questions. Then he dropped the bombshell. He went on to say, we cannot inject politics and assumption into everything. We have a nation to build. He continues. We have a button to pass. You can depend. This is why I want you to listen very well. He says, you can depend on Buhari that he will not spend 1 hour beyond his tenure. He wouldn't do that. He will comply with the Constitution. If you cannot read meaning to that, you're foolish. What Buhari is planning, what Fulani are planning in support, with the support and backing of the Igbo, with the backing of the English establishment, is to stop Tinubu from getting the presidency in 2023. It is essentially to stop Yoruba. Now, Tinubu has dropped the bombshell in respect of 2023 transition. Buhari does not wish to give up power. Tinubu is now telling the public that he will not spend an hour beyond his tenure. He will respect, or he said he will comply with the Constitution. Buhari is asking America to come in as if we're at war. We are not at war. We have an armed insurgency in Nigeria of different nations asking for their freedom in respect of what we agreed before independence with the Igbo nation destroyed. Tinubu is telling us that the action of Buhari is that he is not willing to go. And this is what we have predicted many years ago, that Buhari would rather allow the military to take over government of Nigeria rather than to allow a full-blooded Yoruba citizen as the president of Nigeria. He knows that a full-blooded Yoruba citizen would decentralize the country. It would return the country back to regional government or break up the country. That was when Ekwe Ekeremando, the deputy Senate president in 2018, openly moved a motion in the Nigerian National Assembly for military takeover. He was forced to explain himself, going to different television houses to explain, but we knew what he's planning. So what Buhari is doing is that they don't want Tinubu to take power in 2023. They don't want Yoruba to ever be president because they are stealing your wealth. And I will say something that I was reading on my way to this presentation. One of my colleagues in Wawa said to me that everything boils down to money and negotiation. And before that, we were discussing the intervention of the US government. He says, and I quote him, said, "This is very bad news for the Yoruba. Hausa Fulani have stolen the YYF ideas again, calling for America. If they achieve this, we can kiss regional government, Oduduwa Republic, and Tinubu's presidency goodbye." That is a statement of fact. If the Fulani can bring in America, can project a warlike situation rather than harm insurgency, can project terrorism, they will bring in American soldiers and there will not be election in 2023. We'll kiss goodbye to regional government, we kiss goodbye to Oduduwa Republic, and we kiss goodbye to Tinubu presidency. It will never happen. If Fulani can sow the idea of terrorism to the US government. And my friend goes on, he says, once the US comes under the Democratic Party, the Fulani will get the full support of England, Germany, and France. He went on to say, everything boils down to money and negotiation. You can have something and someone else can take it from you if they are stronger and more ruthless. That is the truth. Fulani and Igbo has no crude oil. America is currently controlling 55% of the stake of the crude oil in Yoruba land. I got to know this from our sister organization that we're working to negotiate with the Israeli government and then Israeli in America. When we were proposing 10% of our wealth to America in return for their support for the Yoruba nation, my friend who is half Yoruba, half Israeli, told me that America already is controlling 55% of the stake of our crude oil in Yoruba land. You don't propose 10% to such a nation. And why is it that they can easily control the 55% of our crude oil? The crude oil belongs to Yoruba, but we are not in charge of it. Fulani are in charge of it. For Fulani to continue to rule us, they are willing to give away 55%. The remaining 45% is controlled by English and Fulani. So you can have something and someone else can take it from you if you are not strong and ruthless. So that's why if Buhari convince America to come in, Buhari will leave. They will hand over the government to another Fulani. Election might not hold because what? We, the Yoruba, owns the wealth. It is Fulani and Igbo who are controlling our crude oil. Go to NNPC, you will see the people that are working there predominantly. More than 85% of the staff of NNPC are Hausa, Fulani, and Igbo. Yet they don't have crude oil. Who control the waterways that belongs to the Yoruba people? Hausa, Fulani, and Igbo. So they can trade even 90% of our wealth to America or to England, as long as they take the remaining 10%. If we are smart as a people, we've been telling the APC for far too long. This is something we started in 2012, particularly in 2017, lobbying the US government, the US senator, but we do not have the funding. So we started proposing that the APC should carry on from where we stopped. But they have not really been bothered because they are too individualistic. They don't think about the collective goods of the generation yet unborn. They are the conservative. They are so weak of focused people who don't understand the exigency of power. We are the owner of the wealth that Fulani have monopolized an Igbo. So if they can pull it off and get the military intervention of the United States, forget about regional government, you will never get it. Forget about Oduduwa Republic, you won't get it. Forget about Tinubu president, it will never come. We've been telling you that we need the support of the most powerful nation on earth. How do you do this? It is you have to negotiate with your wealth. Fulani don't have crude oil. We Yoruba have it. Let America retain their 50%, 55% stake, and we control the remaining 45%. We came to this conclusion because in the Arab nation, America controls 80% of their crude oil. We are the owner of the waterways. Let us allow America to have a stake. I don't want Fulani and Igbo and English to continue to control our wealth. I would rather have America do it, control it. We have this certain percentage. It is good for our children. It is good for our descendants. It is good for the future of the Yoruba nation. So you can see the game. Buhari does not wish to hand over to Tinubu. He knows that Tinubu will decentralize Nigeria. He's been saying this before he became a governor, saying that he believed in decentralized democracy. Buhari does not believe in decentralized democracy. The Igbo nations does not believe in decentralized democracy. They believe in the unitary system. So we as young Yoruba, we must use our level of exposure in America to reach out to Joe Biden, to listen to our plight, that the power must be given to Tinubu. We must negotiate. We must think like civilized people. You were all jubilated. We were sober, sad when President Trump lost power. We knew the antecedent of the Democratic Party. They were the people in power when Awolowo was in prison. Democratic Party was in power when MK Abiola was assassinated and killed. His election was annulled. Now we are hoping to get the power in 2023, and again, Democratic Party has won. So you celebrated and jubilated because you think that Joe Biden is going to favor black people. Why don't you speak to him? Why don't you negotiate with him? Why don't you reach out to him rather than for you to allow irresponsible Fulani to continue to dictate over your wealth? The waterways and crude oil and everything belongs to us. Let us reach out to America, give them certain percentage, and we retain some percentage for the good of our descendants. It is very important. So don't let anybody fool you, folks, right? The game is on. Buhari is planning not to hand over power to anybody that is full-blooded Yoruba. He has reached an agreement with Tinubu that it will be the turn of Tinubu, but they are scared. Tinubu, president of Nigeria, who will be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, who will control the military, who will control the police, who will control the custom, who will control immigration, who will control the port, the airport, who will control everything, National Assembly. Now, look at that power. Fulani are unwilling to give it up. Igbo are unwilling for Yoruba to have that. The English are the one behind these two people. That was the reason why MI6 was the one that funded and planned the NSAS protest to kill Tinubu. I hope you guys are getting us. I explained certain things to you in order for you to be abreast of what is going on. But there's something I would like to say going forward. I've not even touched on the topic for today, which is state secrets. But I want to say this to the Yoruba people in Yoruba land. Even while we are far away from Yoruba land, we remain Yoruba citizens and cannot, in the present circumstances, remain indifferent to the fate of our beautiful homeland. In 1954, and as a result of the new Constitution of Nigeria enacted into law, Victoria Island in Lagos was excised from the Western Nigeria. It was removed from the Western Nigeria in 1954 to make it the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Lagos Island, which is Victoria Island and its environs, ceased to be the Federal Capital of Nigeria in 1976 as a result of the ingenuity of the Yoruba leaders of thought who asked the federal government to move the Federal Capital of Nigeria to Abuja because during the Biafra-Nigerian War, the Igbos said that they bombed Lagos and killed thousands of Yoruba people because Lagos was the capital of Nigeria. Because of that, Awolowo led the Yoruba leader of thought and asked the federal government to move the capital of Nigeria away from the Yoruba soil. So Victoria Island only served as the federal capital of Nigeria for 22 years. Since 1976, Abuja, the land of the Gwari people, they are the owner of Abuja, the Gwari people. Abuja has been designated as the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. It has remained the Federal Capital of Nigeria for 45 years and counting. In the last 45 years, not a single Yoruba soul has ever laid claim to Abuja as Yoruba land. Or because it is the Federal Capital of Nigeria, then it belongs to everyone. Every single Yoruba leaders and Yoruba citizens have always respected the fact that Abuja is the land of the Gwari people. That was why, if you look at the proposal of Pronaco, they said that the Abuja metropolis be administered by Gwari people. And this proposal was supported by Professor Wole Soyinka, and we, the Young Yoruba for Freedom, we worked more on that proposal and agreed. They said that the Governing Council of Abuja should be 55% of its indigenous people, the owner of the land. But the reverse is the case with the Igbo nation. They have no legal right or no moral right whatsoever to mass migrate to any sphere in Yoruba land. They are the people that are always claiming other people's land. I have stated this to show you that Lagos, which is not the entire Lagos, Victoria Island ceased to be the federal capital of Nigeria in the last 45 years. The federal capital of Nigeria is Abuja. We're disappointed that the SIS, the Secret Intelligence Services in England, also known as MI6, is using IPOB members to stage a coordinated attack on Lagos. The EndSARS protest in Lagos was coordinated by the English MI6 to try to assassinate Bola Ahmed Tinubu using IPOB members led by Nnamdi Kanu. The ongoing actions of IPOB members through the Eastern Security Network in Igbo land from a very reliable source is a prelude to an attack in Lagos by IPOB members used by the English MI6. The pattern is so clear. In 1994, young Yoruba in their teenage years took over the control of Apapa Wharf and Tinker Port. They took over this port from the minority Fulani during the June 12 struggle. But the English Royal Navy attacked our people, killed several of them, seized our ports from us, and handed it back to the Fulani, who are foreigners in Nigeria and working for the English establishment in what is known as neocolonialism. The procedure, the MI6, might be different this time around, but the outcome is the same. What the MI6 did in respect of the EndSARS protest was the continuation of the subjugation of the Yoruba nation. The ongoing bombing of police stations and government establishments in Igbo land are to keep the Yoruba people distracted from our clear objective, the Oduduwa Republic. The Yoruba conservatives, led by the Yoruba APC, believe that we can get the Oduduwa Republic by electing a full-blooded Yoruba citizen in person of Tinubu as the president of Nigeria, through which we are going to get the Oduduwa Republic. That is one approach of getting our ultimate desire, the Oduduwa Republic. The Yoruba APC, the conservative wings of the Yoruba political ideologies, wants to get the presidency of Nigeria. Then they will then decentralize the country through what Tinubu has always been calling decentralized democracy, which we know has regional government. Then the government of Yoruba region can move a motion to get out of Nigeria under regional government. That is what the conservative believe is best to get Yoruba out of Nigeria. However, the Yoruba liberals, led by the PDP, who are mainly half Yoruba people, they believe that the only way we can get out of Nigeria is through the United Nations, UN. So you can see, this is the defining moment in Yoruba land. Two political ideologies with same outcome, Oduduwa Republic. The Yoruba APC would like to first get the presidency of Nigeria, then use the power of the presidency of Nigeria to achieve decentralized democracy. Then the government of the Yoruba region can then move a motion, which I'm going to explain to you in details, can then move a motion for the Oduduwa Republic in their parliament. And if that motion is passed after a referendum, then the result can then be taken to the federal government, upon which Tinubu will be the sitting president. And then we can negotiate our way out of Nigeria. It is one approach. The second approach is that of the Yoruba liberals, who is the Yoruba PDP. They want the United Nations intervention. But folks, rather than for the Yoruba liberals to continue to work with the United Nations to get the Oduduwa Republic, they are more focused on attacking the Yoruba conservative approach of using the presidency of Nigeria to bring home the bacon. It is therefore very clear that the Yoruba liberals of the Yoruba PDP are not really interested in the actualization of the Oduduwa Republic, but working with the Yoruba enemy to stop Tinubu from getting the presidency of Nigeria for the good of our people. That's what they are doing. Before I moved in, I was sent an information from one of the Yoruba liberals saying that as we speak now, that Obasanjo and Ayo Adebanjo are having a meeting with the US delegates, asking for what the Yoruba nation wants from both of them. And that Obasanjo and Ayo Adebanjo are saying to the US delegate currently meeting them that the Yoruba nation wants restructuring before the 2023 election. There's no way I can independently verify this. This information is coming from the Libra and their propagandists. So if that should be the truth, we'll find out very soon. But you agree with me that the desire of the two ideology is Oduduwa Republic. It is the approach that is different. The approach of the Yoruba liberals in conjunction with the Igbo and Fulani is not a new approach targeted at destroying Yoruba land. And this is why it is very important that for you to listen to me attentively. I don't know whether Comrade Fulani can release the ABN research on the ABN, Association for Better Nigeria, which I shared with you a few days ago. If it's possible for you to release it to the general public so they can have an idea of the information we're about to share with you. You see, what Professor Banji Akintoye is doing, what Sunday Igboho is doing, what the Yoruba liberals of the PDP, what they are doing is not new. They actually do not wish to have Oduduwa Republic. They simply want to stop Tinubu from getting the power of the presidency so that he can, at the very least, give us decentralized democracy. So this approach is not new, like I said to you. It was the same approach used during the Abiola elections. The Igbo and the Fulani did an opinion poll before the elections of June 12, 1993, and found out that Abiola was going to win by a landslide. So in order to stop it, they created Association for Better Nigeria. It is the same thing that they are doing with Tinubu. Public opinion is clearly tending towards Tinubu victory. You haven't seen any PDP Yoruba member who is interested in the candidacy of the PDP except Ayo Fayose, which the Igbo and Hausa Fulani do not want to get the tickets. You haven't seen this because every opinion poll is tending towards Tinubu's presidency. So this is the same thing they did to Abiola. We as a movement, the Young Yoruba for Freedom, we are conscious of the fact that 63% of the current population in Yoruba land were not born before 1999. 63% of our current population were born after 1999. They were born into degradation, never experienced a welfare system, have no sense of history, being raised in a dysfunctional society where ethnically motivated killings are prevalent, and above all, never been raised to think Yoruba first, but to see themselves first as Nigerians, which is a big clog in the wheel of our progress as Yoruba people. Even in our movement, the Young Yoruba for Freedom, a movement of young Yoruba conservative that is changing the course of history in Yoruba land, not a single member of our executive participated in the June 12th election of 1993, including me. Not a single one of us voted in June 12th election in 1993. We were all teenagers under the age of 18 and not eligible to vote. Today, we are the people changing the course of history. Now, I'm saying this in order to allow you to understand that what Professor Banji Akintoye is doing today is not new. It was the same thing they came up with the elections of June 12, 1993. So I've told you all of this to even say to you that we that are helping to change the course of history in Yoruba land, we were not even eligible to vote in 1993 because none of us were age 18. So today, because our lack of history, we see the agitations of the likes of Professor Banji Akintoye and Sunday Igboho as a new approach to bring about greatness to the Yoruba nation. This is completely wrong. Professor Banji Akintoye and Sunday Igboho and the Yoruba PDP agitators for the Oduduwa Republic are working on the same template of the ABN, which led to the assassination of Abiola. What Professor Banji Akintoye and the like of Igboho are doing is the same thing that led to the assassination of Abiola. They want to kill Tinubu. That is the honest truth. I hope that you have supplied this. You have supplied the information about the ABN I'm doing. In a research authored by the Research Directorate of Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada on information about the Association for a Better Nigeria, ABN, published on the 1st of May 1994, it clearly shows that the no election campaign of Professor Banji Akintoye was from the playbook of the ABN. Now, this is the story of the ABN. In 1991, The Ibrahim Babangida regime abolished all political parties across Nigeria and created two national parties, the National Republican Convention, NRC, and the Social Democratic Party, SDP. They were created in 1991. Shortly afterwards, the Association for Better Nigeria was formed in June 1993 with 25 million members. International Press Services, IPS, in a report on the 19th of April 1993, noted that the ABN held its first official meeting in Lagos on the 15th of April 1993. The same source also mentioned Jerry Okoro, an Igbo man, as the national coordinator of the Association for Better Nigeria, ABN. What was the primary objective of the ABN? The primary objective of the ABN was to keep Ibrahim Babangida in power and maintain the military administration that has governed Nigeria for so long. What do you think is the objective of Professor Banji Akintoye and his group? They have changed the name of their group to Ilana Omo Oduduwa Limited. It's a business registration anyway. They are using you to make money. But they have a bigger objective. It is to stop Tinubu from becoming the president of Nigeria, for Fulani to continue to rule us. You will see more details about this when I speak on fraternity of the half Yoruba, Igbo, and Fulani. The information you have never seen before, we will be dishing it out for you on that day. So the primary objective of the Association of Better Nigeria was to keep Babangida in power. They were against a return to the democratic rule. The ABN demonstrated its determination to achieve its objective by putting up billboards in the Nigerian capital, Abuja, that carried the message, 4 more years. So 4 more years is not a new concept. It was first used by the Association of Better Nigeria, led by Igbo and half Yoruba. I'm going to give you their names. The message, 4 more years, means the military government should stay in power for another 4 years. All the noise of Professor Banji Akintoye for Oduduwa Republic is to stop the election of 2023, because it is very obvious Tinubu is going to win that election. They want Fulani to continue to rule you. That has been the plan. The intensity of the ABN pro-government campaigns led many observers to conclude that the federal military government was behind the activities of the association. I'm going to show you that the federal government of Buhari is behind the activities of Professor Banji Akintoye. Professor Banji Akintoye is being funded by Obasanjo and Babangida. You wait for that day. We're going to reveal all of this secret to you. The research from Canada stated that the leadership of the ABN was basically a one-man show headed by Chief Otto Nzeribe, an Igbo man, and Abimbola Davis, a half Yoruba, who was the director of the ABN. The research also noted that the ABN was not a popular group and was treated with contempt, particularly by pro-democracy groups and most of the Nigerian press. Nobody have any reckoning or respect for Sunday Igboho, a stark illiterate. And when I use the word, I call him stark illiterate, people started talking. You don't even understand. For you to be literate, you must have basic education, which is secondary school. Sunday Igboho never had. He never went to secondary school. He's a stark illiterate. And he's the one that is leading you now, Yoruba Libra. They are not well respected. You know what is just given? They just started giving ultimatum. In 2020, Professor Banji Akintoye and the likes of Sunday Igboho said that there will be rally for Oduduwa rally October 1st. That never took place in 2020. Then Sunday Igboho declared ultimatum on December 2020, Mr. Banji Akintoye, I don't want to call him the professor, he's a stupid man. He gave the federal government 90 days ultimatum. By December 2021, Sunday Igboho gave Hausa Fulani an ultimatum to leave Ibarapa and its environs. At the expiration of the 90 days ultimatum Professor Banji Akintoye gave to the federal government, he gave them another 30 days ultimatum. After that one expired, the idiot old man just gave them another 120 days of ultimatum. He's a useless man. What do you think they are targeting towards the election? They don't want the election to hold. They want to cause violence across Yoruba nation so that the election will not hold. That is why Buhari has quickly gone to America, asking them to come into Nigeria to stop Tinubu. That's the game they are playing. Now let's continue. As a result, many of those who associated with the ABN kept it virtually secret. According to the research, it was difficult to determine the total leadership of membership of the ABN. With all the noise of Professor Banji Akintoye and his group, I will have a detailed explanation about that movement. Do you ever have the knowledge that the association was being sponsored by Obasanjo? No, you don't. Obasanjo pretended as if he doesn't know anything. He's providing money for them. Babangida is providing money for them. Fulani are providing money for them. Igbo are providing money for them to destroy one man, Tinubu, because they know that is the man that will give you Oduduwa Republic. So they pretended as if they want Oduduwa Republic. They know it is only Tinubu that will give you. There is no full-blooded Yoruba citizen on this planet Earth who will become the president of Nigeria that will continue to allow Fulani to control our waterways, to control our seaport, to control our crude oil, to control our immigration, to control our custom, to control the taxes generated in Yoruba, to control our political economy. There is no such full-blooded Yoruba. Even if you put Fayose there, or if you put additional there from the PDP, they will break Nigeria for the good of Yoruba land. But people like Obasanjo will never, because he's Igbo. People like Tunde Bakare will never, because he's Fulani. People like Benga Daniel will never, because he's Isoko. It's not Yoruba. That is the truth. Put a full-blooded Yoruba citizen as the president of Nigeria, it would destroy that country, because he sees that the wealth of his nation is funding Nigeria, and his people are poor and miserable and wretched. I want you to take notice of this about the ABN, and I want you to use your brain to think about the activities of Professor Banji Akintoye and his group. The research from Canada says, in its tenacity to endorse continuous military rule, the ABN went to court, take note, to prevent the holding of the June 12 presidential election. The ABN reason for demanding the injunction was that the leaders of the NRC and SDP were corrupt politicians. Sounds familiar? What is the PDP agitator who are asking for Oduduwa Republic? What are they saying about Tinubu? Tinubu is corrupt. What are they saying? We don't want election in 2023. This was the exact thing that the Association for Better Nigeria, led by Otto Nzeribe, a full-blooded Igbo, and Abimbola Davis, a half Yoruba. This is the same thing Professor Banji Akintoye is doing. ABN went to court saying that the election must not hold because it was obvious a full-blooded Yoruba will be president of Nigeria. They were saying in court paper that both NRC and SDP were corrupt. What are the Yoruba agitators saying to you? They will tell you that both PDP and APC in Yoruba land are corrupt. Sounds familiar. So this agitation is not new. Let me tell you something that we have stated about before. In 1983, it was this horrible Professor Banji Akintoye who caused war, violence in Yoruba land because he wanted Hausa Fulani to win the election in Ondo State. Hausa Fulani party. The party that won was UPN, Yoruba party. This same Professor Banji Akintoye was working for the Hausa Fulani party. When the Yoruba of that era attempted to kill the idiot, he ran away to America. He never amounted to anything in America. He was just an ordinary lecturer. If he has been living in Yoruba, and he will have become a vice chancellor and retired as a vice chancellor. An ordinary lecturer he was in America. Now they brought him back to complete the damage he started in 1983. And I said this to you because I have to have the assurance of our sister organization. It is our generation that will completely deal with you, Professor Banji Akintoye. So if you look at what the ABN did in 1993, the public opinion polls then tended towards Abiola victory. For Igbo, half Yoruba, and Fulani to stop Abiola's victory, ABN went to court. And I will read that again. In its tenacity to endorse continuous military rule, the ABN went to court to prevent the holding of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. The ABN reason for demanding the injunction was that the leaders of the NRC and SDP were corrupt politicians. No, that was bullshit lie. They wanted to stop a full-blooded Yoruba citizen as president of Nigeria. That was why they went to court and said no election. Professor Banji Akintoye is doing the same thing because he and his group knew that if election holds in 2023, Tinubu will likely win. To stop Tinubu victory, they started no election campaign in 2023. It's the same plan. Who funded ABN? Babangida and Obasanjo. Who is funding Professor Banji Akintoye today? Babangida and Obasanjo. Let us continue. The research from Canada asks a rhetorical question. Why did the ABN go to court to try and stop June 12 presidential election? Because the opinion polls shows that Abiola was going to win and they don't want it because he was a full-blooded Yoruba man. I added that. But the research from Canada clearly stated that the ABN went to court to try and stop the June 12 presidential election because the opinion polls shows that Abiola was going to win. That is why Professor Banji Akintoye, an idiot, Sunday Igboho, I have a detailed research about you, but I have not included that research as part of our campaign for 10 days. I have everything about you, where you were living in Modakeke, your parents, and everything. When you learned, when you were trained as a motorcycle mechanic, how you've been doing smuggling, yeah, firewall, that's your job. You were no longer doing that anymore because Buhari shut down the borders, which affected your business. And then you were motivated to join the agitation for the Oduduwa Republic and you siphoned a lot of money. We know all of that, but I've not put this as part of our campaign, but that may change. So guys, you see the actions in 1993. Why is Professor Banji Akintoye and Sunday Igboho campaigning for a no election in the 2023 presidential election? They know that if Tinubu contests, he is likely going to win, and they don't want a full-blooded Yoruba citizen as the president of Nigeria. That is the reason, folks. In the case of the ABN, it lost the case in court. The June 12 presidential election, the June 12, 1993 presidential election went ahead. But after the elections, the ABN again went to court to prevent the release of the election result. You will see when I speak on day 6, fraternity of the half Yoruba, Igbo, and Fulani, when I'm going to be speaking on Professor Banji Akintoye and Sunday Igboho in a more detail, day 6, you will see. I'm going to ask them a simple question. They are campaigning for no election in 2023, for election not to hold in Yoruba land. Peradventure, no election took place in Yoruba land, but elections were held outside Yoruba land, and a winner is declared. Is Professor Banji Akintoye going to accept the outcome of the election? If he says yes, then we ask him, why then are you calling for no election in Yoruba land? If he says no, that means he's calling for an outright war against the federal government. Why not declare the war now? There is no way they can explain their campaign for no election other than to stop Tinubu from becoming the president of Nigeria. And we will shock you with what we are capable of doing. We are very, very determined. We are very, very determined. What my parents were discussing in our kitchen is what we speak outside. What you don't want to hear outside, that's what YF is always bringing out. We know a lot of information. We have a lot of insiders. We share this. Recently, I obtained a detailed information about the revenue of the Nigerian Shipper Council. I was shocked. But the guy who gave it to me, he couldn't speak to data. He was reading it out. Nobody would be able to understand what he was saying. But these were real data, real time, big information that could change the state of mind of the young Yoruba forever. But they don't know how to interpret it. So I requested for it. They were happy to transfer it to me. I spent 24 hours. I'm not lying, believe you me. 24 hours trying to clean up the data. And I said to the guy, look, I have to start all the way from scratch. This is bullshit that you're giving me. These are details information there, but the way you have presented it is horrible. I have been working on that data, and I can tell you 60% I'm almost there. But you can't give us information without confirming the data you're giving to us. So we're asking the guy, the real insider who provided that information, to give details to our guys in Nigeria so that I can talk authoritatively on that. That's why I have not included it in this presentation. But before 10 days, if time permits, we can give you these details. But let us go ahead about this ABN thing. I've asked you that question. Why is Professor Banji Akintoye and Sunday Igboho campaigning for a no election in the 2023 presidential election? Because they know that if Tinubu contests, he is likely going to win, and they don't want a full-blooded Yoruba citizen as the president. So that's the reason. It was the same thing that Otto Nzeribe and Yinka Davis of the ABN did to Abiola. It was the same approach. There's no difference. Professor Banji Akintoye is working with the Igbo. Sunday Igboho is one of his girlfriends is Igbo with a child for him. All these Yoruba dictators, you see them holding flags with Igbo. So it is the same approach. Stop Tinubu at all costs. But our generation is quite different. So like I said, in the case of the ABN, it lost the case in court because it went to court challenging that there should be no election in the June 12, 1993 presidential election because NRC and SDP politicians were corrupt. It lost that case. The election, the June 12, 1993 presidential election went ahead. After the election, the ABN again went to court to try to prevent the release of the election result. So the research from Canada stated that the current political impasses in Nigeria began at this point when the government annulled the election. When I will be responding to the exclusive interview of Abiola's wife, Mrs. Modupe Onitiri Abiola, I will point out certain flaws in our interviews. One of these is that the Fulani were the only people who annulled the election. No, the election was actually annulled by the Igbo. They were the one who went to court and got a black market judgment that that NEC should no longer announce the result. Then the Hausa Fulani just used the opportunity to completely cancel the election result. It was the Igbo and Fulani who stopped Abiola's victory, and we would deal with them ruthlessly in our homeland. According to the research from Canada, ABN has always shown its disdain for the return to civilian government and campaigned for the continuation of military rule. Is the same thing. Professor Banji Akintoye and his group, they have always shown deep-seated hatred towards Tinubu. It's always the same. Therefore, it goes without saying that the ABN was happy that its immediate goal was achieved when the result was announced. I'm telling you, folks, if Tinubu peradventure is disqualified from contesting in 2023 election, Professor Banji Akintoye and all his horrible followers would drop their agitation for the Oduduwa Republic. If Tinubu drops dead before 2023, God forbid, Professor Banji Akintoye and all his evil followers will stop their agitation for the Oduduwa Republic. If Tinubu is defeated in the 2023 election, Professor Banji Akintoye and all his evil followers will stop their agitation for Oduduwa Republic. They don't want the actualization of the Oduduwa Republic. We are the people that desire Oduduwa Republic. What Professor Banji Akintoye and his evil followers desire is to stop Tinubu from becoming the president of Nigeria. They know that he is the only one who will give the Yoruba nation what we have always desired since August 1966. So the clear intention of the Yoruba liberals, led by Professor Banji Akintoye, in a working relationship with the Igbo and Fulani, is to stop Tinubu from being elected as the president of Nigeria. At this junction, I would like to start with the one campaign on the state secrets as disclosed to the public by Mrs. Modupe Onitiri Abiola. So we're just getting started and we have used an hour, 26 minutes already. Now, I will try to pause here and try and drink some water. Yeah. Comrade, did you give these people what I asked you? Listen, gentlemen, on the 21st of April, 2020, Mrs. Modupe Onitiri Abiola, the late MKO Abiola's wife, in an exclusive interview, provided state secrets about Nigeria and the Yoruba nation. I will highlight the facts and we share our finding on what she said in that interview. But first, I want to thank her for her actions of enlightening the Yoruba nation, particularly the Yoruba youth. I remember when I watched your video, you were almost crying when you mentioned the assassination of your husband. It brings back memories of when I left Lagos, traveled down to Ibadan to meet with my mom when her son, my elder brother, was shot and killed by Igbo and Fulani policemen in Yoruba. Women suffer greatly when they have lost loved one. We men also suffer greatly, but we have the state of mind to try and control our emotion and our feelings sometimes. I feel your pain as a wife and mother. We learn a lot from that interview. And I pray God Almighty will continue to be with you and your family, as well as the Yoruba nation, for the loss of a great man, MKO Abiola. But in your pain, you've shared with the Yoruba nation, and particularly its youth, big-time secrets of the subjugation of the Yoruba people. You focus our attention on the most significant enemy of the Yoruba nation, the government of England, and blame the government of England for the assassination of your husband, MKO Abiola. This is what the Young Yoruba for Freedom have always stated. MKO Abiola was killed by Abu Salam Abubakar, the then sitting head of state of Nigeria, in collaboration with John Major government in England and Bill Clinton government in the United States. You confirm this very much in your interview. You blame the half Yoruba and non-Yoruba people disguised as Yoruba who work with the Fulani and the Igbo and betrayed your husband, MK Abiola. You increased the pace of her resolution to end the minority rule of the Fulani in Nigeria by clearly stating the obvious fact that the minority Fulani in Nigeria are foreigners from Senegal and the Gambia and should have no moral right or legal right whatsoever to rule over the Yoruba people. Again, this is something the young Yoruba for freedom have always been saying. Fulani are not from Nigeria. Fulani are from Senegal and Gambia. They are not from Arabs. Don't let anybody deceive you. Fulani homeland is in Senegal and Gambia. It was because of the problem the Fulani were causing in Senegal and Gambia that one country divided into two. It used to be Senegambia, one country. That is the homeland of the Fulani. And we are glad that Mrs. Onitiri Abiola clearly stated that in her exclusive interview. Fulani are not from Nigeria. They should never rule as president of Nigeria. I am not from England. The Yoruba in England are not from England. The English will never for once allow us to dominate them and rule over them. If you are confused about the skin color, the Polish who are in England in their majority, they will never be allowed to dominate the English. Why do we constantly and continuously allow foreigners, Fulani, to rule us as president? This is what we call neocolonialism. It is the English establishment who is using the Fulani to rule and suppress the Yoruba. When we chase away the English in 1960, they never left. They gave the power to immigrant Fulani. I would like to do the same thing to the English, rule over them in England. But they will put up a fight with us, Yoruba, if we dare to do that. But in their irresponsibility, in their evil-mindedness, in their corrupt state of mind, they continue to allow Fulani, who are not from Nigeria, to always preside over the country's affairs. The English will never allow Polish people who are not indigenous to the United Kingdom to rule over them. So their wickedness will be visited upon them for their continuous support of the Fulani to always suppress and subjugate the Yoruba nation. So Abiola's wife spoke the mind of her husband. She clearly stated that Fulani are not from Nigeria. Fulani are foreigners, and you continue to vote for foreigners. Tell the English to come and vote for me to be their king. I don't even want to be prime minister. To be their king. When the queen dies, they should come and put me there as the king. Would they ever put Yoruba or foreigners to be their head of state? How come we continue to allow Fulani, who are not from Nigeria, to always rule over us? This is neocolonialism. We rejected the English who left England, come to Nigeria, created that country, messed up everything. We chased them out because they are foreigners. How come we have continued to allow Fulani who are foreigners too? Fulani are from Senegal and Gambia. Are there Yoruba in Senegal and Gambia ruling over the country? So why should we allow foreigners to rule? Mrs. Abiola stated that Fulani are minority. They are not from Nigeria. They are from Senegal. Don't fall for victim. Anybody say, oh, Fulani are from Arab. They are not fucking Arab. Arab have no respect for them. Most importantly, Mrs. Abiola damned the Igbo and openly rejected their claim of one Nigeria. One Nigeria, she says, is a farce, and that Nigeria is not one, but a country of many nations. She said this in her exclusive interview. So again, she's putting paid to the lies of the Yoruba Libra that I always say Southerners. There's nothing like that. she made some mistake, which we are going to point out to you. She stated very clearly in that interview that there is nothing like one Nigeria, that Nigeria is a country of many nations. And we have identified 15 nations of Nigeria that made up the 100% of the total population of that country. Furthermore, she condemned the Nigerian census as a fraud. We have done that as well. She says, for instance, Kano and Lagos State were both created in 1967. For Lagos State, it had 20 local government. For Kano, it had less than 20 local government in 1967. According to the 1967 election, Lagos State had the highest population in Nigeria. But by 1991, Kano, the whole Kano had been divided into two, Kano and Jigawa. By 2006, when Kano was divided into two, Lagos remained one state with 20 local government. But by the time the whole Kano was divided into two, it became Kano and Jigawa with combined population of less than 20 local government in 1967 to 73 local government by 1991. You can see that cheating. By 2006, when Obasanjo conducted the census of 2006, Obasanjo said that Kano, not Kano and Jigawa, only Kano, not Jigawa, has the highest population in Nigeria. How can that possibly be? You understand? The whole Kano had lesser population than Lagos in 1967. Kano became divided into two in 1991, Kano and Jigawa. By the time horrible man called Obasanjo conducted the census of 2006, he said that Kano has the largest population in Nigeria. It is not the combination of old Kano, the new Kano, without the population of Jigawa. Is that a possibility? No. Mrs. Onitiri Abiola, the wife of Abiola, stated that the census in Nigeria is a fraud. This is what we have always been saying. This is a man that is speaking the mind of Abiola, our husband. Imagine you put Abiola as the president of Nigeria then. He would have changed the course of history for good. Don't forget one thing. When Tinubu wanted to create an additional local government in Lagos, he said that Kano, with less than 20 local government in 1967 as Lagos. Lagos has more local government in 1967, 20. Kano has now become 73 local government with Kano and Jigawa. Lagos is still having 20 local government. In Hanga, Tinubu created additional 37 local government that makes the local government in Lagos to be 57. What happened? Obasanjo seized the allocation for Lagos. You put such a candidate as president of Nigeria, you think he's not going to do wonder and protect the interests and welfare of the Yoruba? He will. That is why the likes of Professor Banji Akintoye, the useless idiot called Sunday Igboho, and other Yoruba agitators who are evil-minded. That's why they are trying to stop it and say we want to do Oduduwa Republic. You will hear from me on day 6 how we are going to treat your fuck up. So the woman said that the censor in Nigeria is a fraud, which we agree to. In a unique statement, which is a first of its kind, she condemned Babangida, who swore with the Quran that he was not going to betray MKO Abiola, but he betrayed him. She reminded the Yoruba nation, particularly its Muslim population, not to ever trust the Fulani because of the religion of Islam, and that the Fulani are very deceitful people and not good Muslims. This is what the woman stated in her interview. You understand? She said, she's a Muslim, the woman. She said that Babangida swore with the Quran. Because Abiola went to him, Abiola said, look, I don't want to waste my time and money. Are you willing to go? Babangida brought out Quran and sworn with it that he's willing to go. Because he brought out the Quran, Abiola as a Muslim believed Babangida, and he went to purchase the presidential form. He contested the primaries of the SDP, won, and he participated in the June 12, 1993 presidential election with the utmost belief that Babangida will leave office because he has sworn with the Quran. But what did Babangida do? He betrayed him. Hausa Fulani have no fucking respect for your Quran. They don't care. What matters to them is self-preservation. If you Yoruba Muslim are so foolish, you think that because you are Muslim, Fulani are Muslim, and you are one and the same, shame on you. Go to Qatar, Yoruba Muslim women. Go there, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Yoruba Muslim women, they rape them. They share the same religion of Islam, right? You said your religion is the same. If you go to all these Arab countries, are they going to reckon with you because you are Yoruba Muslim? That's why they rape your women. They turn a lot of them. I don't know what they have done to this. I've watched several videos of Yoruba girls who have been to this Arab country as domestic servant or model. By the time you see their video, want to dowry one, are they not Muslim? Why don't they respect them? Because they are also Muslim, but they have no respect for them. If you think Fulani are Muslim because they sworn with the Quran that they are not going to betray you, you are idiot if you believe them. As a matter of fact, the religion of Islam is a foreign religion. It's not Yoruba religion. Likewise, Christianity. We are Orisha adherents. All these two religions are fucking bullshit. They are not adding value to our life. They make you to be stupid. Believing somebody sworn with the Quran. It's an ordinary book. Somebody sat down to write all of those stories. Look at the Bible. Look at King James's version of the Bible. It is the King of England who wrote it. He called 700 professors. They called them elders and asked them to change everything to what suit him. And it is what we are reading today. She said that you should not believe the Fulani because of the religion of Islam, that they are not good Muslims. This is the first of its kind. And crucially, she rejected the 1999 constitution like every reasonable, full-blooded Yoruba citizen will do. She called it the basis of our problem in Nigeria. The constitution, when I'm going to speak tomorrow, I'm going to speak about the 10th constitution of Nigeria. It shock you, like the pigeon. It shock you that we have had 10 constitutions? Yeah. Fulani wrote 5. English wrote 5. Yoruba only participated in writing 1 of that 10 constitution. She said that that constitution is bullshit. We were the first to point out that argument, the young Yoruba for freedom. You will recollect that in Nnamdi Kanu, the idiot criminals, and then Professor Banji Akintoye, stupid old man, they were the one banging around the 1914 amalgamation as the basis of our problem. Yeah, I came out and I gave a speech. And I told them between 1957 and 1959, the English actually allowed us to decide the fate of Nigeria. There was a condition: decide if you want to live together or not. So the English never forced you to be a country. No, they gave you the opportunity. Discuss amongst yourself. Do you wish to be a country? If yes, define your constitution. Write it down. That was what we did. We actually negotiated Nigeria on our own terms. That was why we all agreed to parliamentary system of government based on regional government. It was Igbo who destroyed it. And Fulani found themselves in power and decided to perpetrate themselves in power. So it is not 1914 amalgamation. Why have sharpened their insight into this? Do you know what happened? Since we gave that speech, all of them are focused on the 1999 constitution. Saying that the 1999 constitution is the 1999. They are not brilliant. They are not prepared. They just focus on individuals. If you continue to attack individuals, you will not progress. So that woman, she rejected the 1999 constitutions like every reasonable Yoruba citizen. That is the basis of our problem. That constitution was written by the Fulani for the Fulani only. Going forward, she stated that it is in the tradition. Listen, you can go and watch that video. She stated that it is in the tradition of the English to always use the military to take other people's wealth. That's what the English are doing. Because you live in England, right? You don't want to speak the truth. The English actually have no rights to threaten any single Yoruba soul with deportation. It's an insult. Look at the way and manner the English accommodated the Indians in England. All the top jobs are given to the Indians, right? Look at the way and manner they are treating we Yoruba people. They treat us like slaves, yet it is this irresponsible English government that are stealing the wealth of Yoruba people. And they upon that, they threaten you with deportation. You know how many English that are working in Yoruba land? You know how many English businesses in Yoruba land? If we shut down Guinness Nigeria PLC and Standard Chartered Bank, 2 English businesses in Yoruba land, believe you me, they will respect all of you that are living in England who are Yoruba. We shut it down. Do you know how many English that are working in our oil and gas, in our capital market, in our financial market, who are working in our port, who are working in our airport? They are not just doing cleaning job like we do. They are not doing bullshit job. They are actually the controller of our wealth, and they will threaten you with deportation in their own country. If we call for the deportation and expulsion of English national from Yoruba, believe you me, that is the day they will stop threatening you in their own country. And that is the day they will stop supporting Fulani. You don't know the power that you are having. You have the wealth. All the beautiful things you see in England, it is part of Yoruba money that is making it possible. But you are poor and wretched in Yoruba land. Because English are using neo-colonialism, they put Fulani in power. Boom. Through Fulani, they started stealing your wealth. She stated that in her interview. She said, it is the tradition of the English to always use the military to take other people's wealth. The Nigerian military belongs to the English. They are using it to kill Yoruba people and others to steal our wealth. Look at what happened in 1994. Young Yoruba went to the port at Apapa with gun and took it over from Fulani. Fulani are very weak. They quickly call on England. They send their English Royal Navy to come and kill our people. Let them try this time around. We will smoke them. They are very weak. We've gone to war with England 4 times. They never for once defeated us. You know why it appears as if they are so powerful? Because we don't go to America and plead with them. If America should back us up, English will be shaking to even confront Yoruba nation. You need allies. As long as you don't know how to form relationship with superpower, you will be fucked. Imagine if we distress Guinness Nigerian PLC and Standard Chartered Bank. We bring in American beer, we start drinking it. We bring in American bank, we bring in French beer, we bring in German beer. We said to France and Germany to come and invest in Yoruba land and fuck up English. English will be begging you straight. They will be pleading with you, please, we are not going to support Fulani again. You need to use what you have to get what you want. That was what the woman said. She went on and said that the government in England had always used the Fulani to disrupt peace, unity, and progress in Nigeria. That's what they are doing. It is what is called neo-colonialism. Neo-colonialism simply means new form of colonialism. Before, you will see English people as governor in Nigeria, as governor in Lagos. You will see them in charge of police. You will see them in charge of our military. You will see them in charge of our port. You will see them physically, English, white skin. We chase them away. They don't want to go because they enjoy stealing the Yoruba way. So they back up Fulani because you see Fulani with black skin. You think they are one and the same with you. Fulani are foreigners like English in Nigeria. Fulani are foreigners like English. But if you have the common sense to chase away the English who are foreigners, why do you embrace Fulani who are also foreigners too? And they are the people English are using to steal your wealth. English never left Nigeria. They are still colonizing you. They have electricity in England. They have good road. They have good health. They have free education. It is your money, your Yoruba money, that is funding all of this in England. Your Yoruba money is funding all of this progress that you see in England. They are the ones that are using the Nigerian military to kill everybody in Nigeria. How can you have military? They have military in Germany. They have military in France. They have military in England. They have military in Poland. Do you see their military killing the citizens of those countries? Do you see it? But what do you see in Nigeria? Nigerian military will be killing Nigerians. It is English that are dictating for them. If you have common sense, you will know this is bullshit. But you cannot do anything about it unless you cry to America, unless you seek the help of. Don't you know what is written in America? In God we trust. Do you think English trust God? They mess people countries up. They are the people using Fulani. They are planning coup. That was why MI6 was using Igbo to try and kill Tinubu. Because they know Tinubu will stop them from stealing the Yoruba wealth. Look at me, look at yourself, look at those of us who are living abroad. Do you know what is called waterways? We have 2 ports in Lagos, Apapa and Tinka. They are building another one, Lekki's port, making 3. We're supposed to have another port in Ogun State, Awolowo Port. We're supposed to have another one in Ondo State. We're supposed to have another one in Ishekiri. 6 ports that can generate about 2 million jobs. And all of you will never go out of job because about 7 different nations will be using this 7 port. The Middle Belt will be using it. Fulani will be, Hausa Fulani will be using it. Kanuri will be using it. Niger Republic will be using it. Chad Republic will be using it. Part of Burkina Faso will be using it. Part of Mali will be using it. 7 different nations will be using your port. Your children will never be out of job. They will retain their job from age 18 until they retire at age 65. But how come you don't have job? You come and do cleaning work in England? Because fucking English are stealing your wealth. Fulani control your port. Fulani control your crude oil. Fulani control your police. Fulani control your military. Fulani control your fucking life. Through English. That's why the English are always using the military in Nigeria to keep people inside Nigeria. Ask yourself, is that how military in Portugal are killing people in Portugal? Is that how military in Spain are killing people in Spain? Is that how military in Germany killing German citizens? Is that how military in France killing French citizens? How come the Nigerian military have always killing people inside Nigeria? It is fucking English army. Its real name is actually Fulani army. You need America. You can't do it alone because you have no weapon. Jesus Christ cannot do it for you because he died long time ago. He's never going to come back to this planet. Yes. So that's what Abiola wife said. He said the English have always used the military to take other people's wealth and resources, and that the government in England had always used the Fulani to disrupt peace, unity, and progress in Nigeria. That's a statement of fact. It is the English that are telling Fulani not to agree to decentralization in Nigeria. Do you know what that means? To go back to regional government, that means Yoruba, you control your port, you control your crude oil, you control your police, you control your army, you control your immigration, you control your custom, you control your political economy, you control your taxes. So will you accept English to come, English that treat you very badly? Will you accept them to have any businesses in Yoruba? You will fuck them up. You will not. So English is conscious of that fact. That's why they always will back Fulani. It is because you Yoruba, you are foolish. You hate everybody with white skin. I have told you one thing many years ago. When you talk about this xenophobic attack, everybody in Nigeria says, xenophobic attack in South Africa. It happened to Yoruba people first and foremost in 1969. Go and read the books. In Ghana, Yoruba youth, they ran away in 1966 when Igbo started killing everybody. We escaped to Ghana. After 3 years, we took over the economy of Ghana. The Ghanaian people said, no, this is not acceptable. They started killing Yoruba. They were slaughtering Yoruba people. They escaped down back home. First xenophobic attack happened to us in Ghana. Look at all the problem the Yoruba nation has had within Nigeria. From 1960 till now, how many times has any black nation ever helped us? Except Benin Republic and Togo, which are an extension of Yoruba. Has Ghana ever helped you, Yoruba people? Has South Africa ever helped you? South Africa that we were donating money for. When Abiola was put in prison, we approached Mandela. Please help us. Use your voice to speak for the release of Abiola. He bullshit us. But we are getting help from white people. All the wars we fought with English, it has always been Portugal and Brazil that are always supporting us. Are they black people? No, they are whites. So it's because you condemn everybody with white skin. That's why you are miserable, Yoruba people. Stop condemning America because of the killings of black people. Black people in America are minority. In every nation, majority always suppresses minority. Nigeria is the reverse is the case in Nigeria, where Fulani minority suppresses the Yoruba majority. So you have to reach out to America. All of you were jubilating that Joe Biden, the Democrat, won the election. Have you reached out to him? It is Fulani that are already reaching out to him. I don't know how Tinubu is going to pull this off with a Democrat in power. The history tells us that whenever the Democrats are in power, a Yoruba leader must die or be in prison. That is it. So how is Tinubu going to pull this off? I actually don't know. But behind the curtain, we have already been reaching out to people in America to help to talk to Joe Biden. Because we have to protect the interests of our descendants. If we do nothing, we allow these horrible Yoruba leaders working with the Fulani and the Igbo to kill Tinubu. By the time it gets to our home time to lead Yoruba nation, they will just kill us like chickens. So what we are doing supporting Tinubu is actually self-preservation. I'm thinking about my future. If Tinubu can pull this off, then people like me will never go through stress to lead Yoruba nation. So that is what Abiola's wife said in that exclusive interview. But to be clear, not everything she said was correct. And this is why we're going to have to address some of the flaws in that interview. She was wrong in her assertion that only the Fulani people were responsible for the annulment of her husband's election victory. As a matter of fact, the Igbo, like I told you, obtained a black market judgment in court to have the election annulled. This was the basis upon which the Fulani then annulled the election. So, Madam Onitiri Abiola, you were wrong to put the blame solely on Fulani. It was the Igbo who, under the Association of Better Nigeria, went to court to stop the election. When that fails, the election was held, they went to court and got a black market judgment for the election result to be stopped, not to be officially announced. And when they got that judgment, the Fulani bounced on that judgment and said, look, here is the judgment, the election must be annulled. On that basis, the Fulani annulled it. So you were wrong to blame it solely on Fulani. It was Igbo and Fulani who annulled that election. While she was correct in her assertion that Nigeria is not one country, her assertion about Southern Nigeria was wrong. She kept on using Southern Nigeria, Southern Nigeria. So at this point, I believe that she was pandering to the nonsense from the Yoruba agitators led by Professor Banji Akintoye. In the recent, there is nothing like Northerners versus Southerners. This is the bullshit that the Igbo are projecting to the outside world, saying we are Southerners. We are not. As a matter of fact, Nigeria, we are North, Central, West, East, and South. That is what Nigeria is. The Hausa and Fulani occupy the northern region of Nigeria. The Nope, the Tiv, the Junkun, and others occupy the central region of Nigeria. The Yoruba occupies the western region of Nigeria. The Igbo occupies the eastern region of Nigeria. And the Edo, Ijo, Urobo, Efik, Ibibio, and others, they occupy the southern region of Nigeria. So she was wrong to be dropping this rubbish nonsense of that we are Northerners, we're Southerners. We're not. That's not what we are. She tended towards the audio Oduduwa Republic being championed by the Yoruba leaders and members of the Yoruba PDP, when she erroneously asserted that if we go back to regional system of government, the Igbo and Fulani who used the military to destroy the original parliamentary system could mess up everything again. This is the argument of the Yoruba liberals who are agitating for Oduduwa Republic. They are telling us, no, we don't want restructuring. If we go back to restructuring, the Fulani and the Igbo can destroy it again the same way they destroyed the original regional system of government. This is not correct. And I want to use, I fear Mrs. Abiola's fear is actually genuine. So let me use this opportunity to educate you, madam. The kind of restructuring that my generation is calling for, which I'm going to discuss when we look at the four imperatives. The kind of restructuring we are asking for is very simple, in fact, very elementary. We want the center to be weak, a figurehead president of Nigeria or prime minister or head of state, whatever the appellation. The power of the policing will be in the hands of the region. The power of the military will be in the hand of the region. Whatever restructuring that we achieve that put the power of the military in the hand of the federal government will always jeopardize the regional system of government that we're calling for. So what we are asking for is that the military in Nigeria must be decentralized. So there will no longer be the Nigerian military. there will be the Yoruba National Guard, the Igbo National Guard, the Hausa Fulani National Guard, the Kanuri National Guard, the Ijaw National Guard, the Middle Belt National Guard. This National Guard will be the military of the respective region that will be under the regional parliament, funded from the purse of each region. In that case, as a country, it will be difficult for the president of Nigeria to have any power whatsoever to use the military to disorganize the country, or it will be difficult for the regional military to come together and take over the ruling of Nigeria. It will be extremely difficult. As long as the military in Nigeria is centralized in the hand of the federal government, any Fulani or any ethnic groups can use the military to perpetrate itself in power. So, madam, what we are asking for is total decentralization of Nigeria in all ramifications. The wealth in each region will be managed by the regional government. We will be paying a stipend of each region's money to run the federal government with a limited function. When I speak about this in subsequent days, I will elaborate more. So I want to allay your fear, Mrs. Abiola, that we will get the military in Nigeria to be devolved back to the regions. It is the same standard in the United States of America. Each state control its own military and police. It is the same standard in the United Kingdom. Each region control its own police and military. That is the standard. But the Igbo and the Fulani, they are not happy for that. They don't want that to be. They want the police and the military to continue to be centralized. Why? So that they believe that whenever they get to the power of the presidency, be it Hausa Fulani or Igbo, they will use the military to suppress and subjugate the Yoruba. But there's a proviso when, if eventually we have Tinubu as president, and Tinubu says that he wants to call for national conference or sovereign national conference or whatever, if the Igbo and Fulani push the argument that the military and the police should not be decentralized, we will push the argument that if that should be the case, only Yoruba should be president of Nigeria. So Yoruba will continue to control the military and the police. But you know what? The Igbo and Fulani will reject that. And if they reject that, we will say that, okay, the next option is to break up Nigeria. And if you don't want Nigeria to break, you subscribe to regional government that will bring about decentralization of the police and the military. Now, another thing that we would do, if Tinubu becomes president, he calls for national, sovereign national conference or whatever conference, for instance, and we get there, and we Yoruba will say that, look, for us to stay inside Nigeria, only Yoruba must produce the president. That is, if the Igbo and Hausa Fulani object and they want rotational presidency, we will say to them, we cannot have rotational presidency. They will say, no, 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 only Yoruba cannot be president. And we'll give them another alternative option. We'll say to them, if you don't want Yoruba to be president, only Yoruba, then the funding for the federal government must be joint effort. Meaning, if the federal government budget is 90 million naira, Yoruba must only contribute 30 million. Igbo must contribute 30 million. Hausa Fulani must contribute 30 million, making 90 million. Then we can use that 90 million to run the budget of the federal government. That way, we can rotate the presidency. But if you want Yoruba to be funding federal government, and you, Igbo and Hausa, want to share power of the federal government with you, we will not accept it. We will rather break up. That is the final option. And if they don't want Nigeria to break up, they will rather accept, one, whether only Yoruba should produce the presidency, or two, the running of the federal government must be equal contribution. So if we negotiate, we will negotiate from the position of strength because we are the owner of the wealth in Nigeria. These guys have nothing. They have nothing. So, madam, I can feel your fear that if we go back to regional government, Hausa Fulani and the Igbo can still mess it up again. But what we are proposing is that if we can have decentralized military, decentralized police, it will be extremely difficult for Fulani and the Igbo to mess up the regional system of government, even if they control the presidency. How? For instance, if you go back to regional government and we have a Yoruba parliament, and we will appoint from that parliament a prime minister for the Yoruba nation. As usual, Oni of Ife will be head of state, Alaafin will be the president and the prime minister. Our prime minister, to secure the future of our children when we are no longer on the face of the earth, will go to America and sign a military pact, meaning that this is our region. We control all the wealth and resources. This is the constitution of Nigeria. We don't want a situation whereby a non-Yoruba will be president of Nigeria in the future and want to disorganize and destroy this constitution and want to occupy our region. Please kindly come to our aid with your military. It is not going to be cheap. When we sign that military pact, call it whatever you want to call it, we will be putting certain amount of money to oil the wheel of our friendship with America. So when we are no longer on the face of the earth, we're so old, we've gone, right? Become the ancestors to our children. If Fulani or Igbo wishes to try to undermine the future of our descendants, America will step in. America is a powerful country. Don't let us deceive ourselves. We need their intervention. So I believe that I have addressed that issues, your fear about returning to regional government. Believe you me, if we cannot have decentralized military, believe you me, regional government will never work. Let us break up in peace. Whatever will keep the Nigerian military under the federal government, forget it. Anyone who gets to that position will mess up the other ethnic groups. Look at what Buhari is doing. He's using the military to kill the Yoruba people and Igbo people. When Jonathan was there, he declared state of emergency in about Hausa, Fulani, 3 states. When Obasanjo was there, he used the military to kill OPC because Obasanjo wasn't a Yoruba man. Do you see Buhari using the military to kill Fulani herdsmen? No! If you put an Igbo as the president of Nigeria with a centralized military, that president of Igbo descent will kill a lot of Yoruba with the military. So as long as we want regional government, the military must be decentralized as well as the police. We are not asking for the decentralization of the police alone. No, you will see from the 4 imperatives, these things that I'm talking about was stated in August 1966 by the Yoruba leaders. Decentralization of the police and the military, without which we cannot accept regional government. So when we decentralize the police and the military, the police and the military in Yoruba land will be 100% Yoruba personnel. There will not be Igbo or Hausa Fulani working in our police or military. In Igbo land, the police and the military will be 100% Igbo personnel. There will not be Yoruba or Hausa Fulani working there. In Hausa Fulani region, their police and military will be 100% Hausa Fulani personnel. But let me tell you this thing, as simple, as elementary as this is, if you look at the ridiculous argument of the Igbo and Fulani, they will tell you, we're one Nigeria. No, Igbo can be police in Yoruba, can work in the military. It is a way of suppressing you. The Fulani will say the same thing, that no, we're one Nigeria. You cannot have 100% Yoruba police and Yoruba military in Yoruba. We are one. It's a lie. But you will never see Yoruba having an argument that they want to go and police in Igbo land or work as military in Igbo, or work as military personnel in Igbo land or in Hausa Fulani land. Because we're honest, decent people. We should never have been mad with these 2 horrible nations. I'm telling you. It is bringing our progress down. That's why the stupid English police will treat Yoruba like common criminals. And we should do the same thing to English national in Yoruba. Let us stop and search English. When we see somebody who is English, if you are white, we ask them, are you from England? The moment they say yes, we stop and search them. We even naked them in public. Let us humiliate them, because that's what their police are doing to us here in their own country. The moment you are a black person, they stop and search you. We should do the same thing to them. That is diplomacy, reciprocity, tit for tat. That way they will respect you. But do you do that to them? You don't do that. Treat them with respect and decorum, and they fuck you up in their country. Every time they ask us for our immigration paper, every time they make it difficult for us to stay in their country, every time you see illiterate, inferior English trooping into Yoruba, and you are not stopping them. You are not stopping them because we don't have regional government. If we have regional government, we will treat them the same way they treat us. So, Mrs. Abiola, if we don't get to decentralize the military, we cannot accept regional government. If we get to decentralize the security agencies, including the police, the military, the immigration, the custom, the prison, then we can accept regional system of government. Yeah, Mrs. Abiola was in that interview. She advocated for a government of Yoruba unity. Like I said to you, that she tended towards the audio Oduduwa Republic. No, we just had an elections in 2019, and the APC Yoruba won the majority across Yoruba land. This is the government in Yoruba land. It is not selected individuals who just congregated themselves and said, we are the government. Some people are saying Yoruba parliament. We had election. A political party won majority, Yoruba APC. PDP is in opposition in Yoruba land. So the idea of Yoruba government of national unity is not reasonable, Mrs. Abiola. She wanted Yoruba APC and Yoruba PDP to form a government of Yoruba unity. I totally disagree with that. This is against the tenets of the Constitution of Western Nigeria enacted into law in 1952. You understand? That constitution was suspended by the Igbo in 1966. There's something in that constitution because people don't read. They want to form opinion. You can't form opinion when you are not knowledgeable or when you are not informed on an issue. Currently, based on the Yoruba constitution enacted into law in 1952, suspended by the Igbo in 1966, the constitution says that in case of an emergency, the current government will have 5 years moratorium to rule. So if there is war today in Nigeria and the Yoruba nation opted out of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, then the government of Yoruba land will be formed by Tinubu's political party. So the idea that you are asking for government of national unity, government of Yoruba unity is rubbish. It is because the PDP cannot win election, so they are looking for a way to get into government. The only thing they are interested in is sharing of money and sleeping with different women. You tend to subscribe to the campaign. That's why stupid people. Sunday Igboho never won an election. Professor Banji Akintoye is not an elected governor or senator or anything. If Yoruba governors, they have a joint meeting today and they decided to say that, look, we can't continue with Nigeria. It would be more reasonable than Professor Banji Akintoye, who elected him to represent the Yoruba. If the natural leader of the Yoruba, Oni of Ife, Alaafin of Oyo, Alaki of Egbalan, and other Yoruba, they made a statement that Yoruba is not inside Nigeria again, that will be binding. What can Professor Banji Akintoye do? Who voted for him? Is he a governor or is the senator? What can useless Sunday Igboho do? And all of these guys are PDP. Rather than for them to say to their party, speak officially about the Oduduwa questions. They're not doing that. If you want to get Oduduwa tomorrow, Oduduwa Republic tomorrow, you ask your Oba to make a statement. It will be binding. It will shake the world. Ask your governors to make a statement. But these people are not interested in your agitation. They are focusing on using the power of the presidency to try to get Oduduwa Republic. The Constitution of Western Nigeria says that in the case of an emergency like a war or dissolution of Nigeria, the subsisting government, the succeeding government takes over the governance of Yoruba land for 5 years. After 5 years, there will be an election or a renewal of the government mandate for another 5 years if the emergency situation remains. So let us, this is what the Yoruba who are agitating for the Oduduwa Republic are not conscious of. In case of an emergency, like war or the dissolution of Nigeria, we opt out of Nigeria. The current government will have automatic 5-year mandate to rule Yoruba land. Now, after 5 years, we will review the situation. If peradventure the Igbo are not attacking us, or the Fulani are not attacking us, and everybody has gone back to their own space, the Igbo have settled in their own space, building their own nation, Fulani have settled in their own space, building their own nation, everywhere is peaceful, there is no longer emergency situation, then there will be an election in Yoruba land. So all of you that are agitating for the Oduduwa Republic, you think you are going to be in government. You must be very stupid. Some of them are saying they are forming Yoruba parliament, illiterate set of people. Some of them are saying they have a government of national unity in England. I think you are mad. To be serious, you can't win election. In 2019, we had an election. Tinubu beat all of you hands down. His party, APC. They have the majority of the governors. So that is the party that will form government if there is dissolution of Nigeria today. So, to Mrs. Abiola, there is therefore no justification for a government of Yoruba unity. If Nigeria breaks up today, the Yoruba APC will form the government in Yoruba land for the first 5 years because it has the majority of the elective posts across the Yoruba nation. Now, I will quickly say this and round up for today. She was quite right, Mrs. Abiola, in respect of her view about voting in Nigeria. Mrs. Abiola was correct with her assertion that since 1990 election conducted by Abu Salam Abubakar, in case you don't know, Abu Salam Abubakar was the person who assassinated MK Abiola. He hasn't paid for his sin and he will pay for his sin. Since the election he conducted in 1999, there has never been a fair election, free and fair election in Nigeria. It is the truth, but I have some exceptions. That is what Mrs. Abiola said, but I quite agree with her with two exceptions. The 1999 election was rigged by the Fulani in favor of Obasanjo and Igbo man. They went to Obasanjo inside prison and said to him that, look, we will not give the power to Abiola because we have put him in prison for far too long. If he gets the power of the presidency, he will fight us back. So we are going to kill him and make you the president. Obasanjo agreed with them in principle. So they brought him out and rigged that election for him in 1999. In 2003, the election was rigged by Obasanjo for PDP. Let me tell you one thing about the Yoruba PDP. They have never won election legitimately in Yoruba land since 1999. In the 1999 election, the AD, Tinubu's party, won the election throughout Yoruba land. Obasanjo won the presidency because that election was rigged for him. In 2003, Obasanjo rigged the election of the entire Yoruba land for PDP, except Lagos. It couldn't defeat Tinubu. So the election of 2003 was rigged by Obasanjo for PDP. PDP don't win election legitimately in Yoruba land. In 2007 election, again that election was rigged by Obasanjo in favor of Yar'Adua and the PDP. He actually rigged that election. In 2011, the election was free and fair, and Jonathan won that election. That was one of the exceptions I'm talking about. Yar'Adua died in 2010. The PDP, populated by Igbo and Fulani, they wanted Babangida to replace Yar'Adua as president. Some of them advocated for Turai Yar'Adua, Yar'Adua's wife, to be president. Obasanjo advocated for Sule Lamido to replace Yar'Adua. Tinubu stood the test of time as a Democrat. He said, no, the Constitution of Nigeria says that when the president dies, the vice president takes over. The Igbo and Fulani in the PDP said no. Tinubu instructed Femi Gbajabiamila to move a motion for the doctrine of necessity in order for Jonathan to be president in 2010. Yet, horrible PDP are not giving credit to Tinubu. They abuse that man every day. It was Tinubu ingenuity that ensured Jonathan became the substantive president of Nigeria in 2010. Igbo and Fulani wanted him out after the death of his boss, Yar'Adua. Then in 2011, Yar'Adua came pleading with Tinubu to help him to win. Tinubu, I remember very vividly what he did in 2011. He said this statement, Jonathan Leni, Fasholani Tuesday, and the entire Yoruba electorate delivered a vote for Jonathan in 2011. That election was free and fair. Jonathan won squarely because of the magnanimity of Tinubu. It is the same man. After Jonathan's victory, Jonathan arrested that man and charged him to court because he had 3 bank accounts in America when he was a student. You can see how ungrateful Jonathan was. But the election of 2011 was free and fair. However, the election of 2015 was rigged by both the PDP and the APC. Buhari rigged the election in his north, came out with massive number of votes. You could see that there was a man, an electoral commissioner in Kano or Kaduna, who was assassinated after that election because he came out and said that the election was rigged in the north. 2015 election was rigged by the PDP and the APC. APC rigged the election in Hausa Fulani North. PDP rigged the election in Igbo land. It was rigged 2015. The 2019 election was free and fair, and Buhari won that election. What gave him the victory was the combined vote of the Hausa Fulani and the Yoruba that gave him that victory. These were the 2 exceptions that I had in respect of what Mrs. Abiola said. She said that the election, there's no voting in Nigeria. The elections are always rigged. She's right. But there are 2 exceptions between 1999 and now. The greatest and the best election we've had in Nigeria was the June 12th election. It beat the widest imagination of the Igbo and Fulani. MQ Abiola was not voted for by Hausa Fulani. He was not voted for by Igbo, yet he won the election. Courtesy of Yoruba vote, the Middle Belt, Kanuri, and some South, except the irresponsible Ijaw Nation, who didn't vote for Abiola. I know the result, and I'm going to speak about that when I speak about the Yoruba ending. So guys, to close this political speech for today, we are excited about the closing remarks of Mrs. Abiola, that it is the tradition of the English to always use the military to take other people's wealth. This is what the government in England has been doing to the Yoruba nation since the 60s, using the minority Fulani to steal the wealth and resources of the Yoruba nation to build England. That is the reason why the English establishment are planning day and night to stop Tinubu. They want to use coup. If that will not work, they want to stop Tinubu at the APC convention. If that will not work, they will find other means. That's why they are campaigning for no election in Yoruba. If that will not work, they will try assassination, which the MI6 was involved during the EndSARS protest. There is no Yoruba soul who is a full-blooded Yoruba that will not stop the injustice against Yoruba nation if such an individual becomes the president of Nigeria. So forget about the noise against Tinubu. It is the horrible half Yoruba who are trying to stop him with the connivance of the Igbo criminals and the minority Fulani. And I will say this to the Yoruba APC. I don't know how you guys are going to pull this off, but if you continue to undermine the prospect of pleading, begging, lobbying the good people of America to see reason why the minority Fulani has to go, I don't know how you're going to pull it off, making Tinubu the president in 2023. But with what we're doing and the information that we have, I'm getting another information as I speak to you, we will pull it off. So I want to assure you, Tinubu will pull it off. There's likely going to be a full-scale war. The best bet for the Yoruba nation is to destroy Lagos. We will rebuild it. London was once destroyed completely. The entire France destroyed. Germany was destroyed. Poland was destroyed. But go to these places today and countries, they are well developed than Yoruba. Our best option is organized violence. If these people want to continue to stop a full-blooded Yoruba from becoming the president of Nigeria, we must shut down Lagos. And we've identified the infrastructure. Lagos International Airport, Lagos Stock Exchange, Apapa Wharf, Tinkerport. We can include Dangote Refinery. Let us shut down these places via organized violence. We cannot be the economic backbone of Nigeria and continue to live miserable life. We live abroad. English treat us like slaves, particularly the irresponsible police, everywhere we are. In this country, I was told recently that a Yoruba citizen just came from Nigeria to England and he wants to buy a child birth certificate to put his name there as the father so that he can stay in England. How much is he paying? £5,000. He was given the option of paying £15,000 to a lady who is a single mom with a child so that he can pretend to be the father of the child and get his paper. Is this how our life will continue to be in 2021? We're spending huge money like that to try and stay in England when we are the economic backbone of Nigeria, when we are so rich that our wealth in Yoruba land can take care of 120 million people, yet we are only 60 million and we cannot stay in our home space because Fulani, with the backing of the English, is stealing our resources. So folks, it is very imperative that we inculcate right now the thinking of organized violence. These guys don't want us to use our own wealth for our own economic growth and development. We must destroy Lagos. There is no negotiation. That is what we must plan for. If they will not allow us to rule as president of Nigeria, we must shut down Lagos. Thank you very much. I'm going to see you tomorrow.